Are you tired of feeling disrespected by the people around you? Do you find yourself swallowing your emotions and letting others push you down because you're not sure how to respond? Have you ever felt like you're at the mercy of others' words and actions? You're not alone in this. Disrespect is something that all of us face at some point in our lives, whether it's in your personal relationships, at work, or even in casual encounters. We all know what it feels like to be dismissed, belittled, or disregarded. It's painful, frustrating, and draining, but I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to take control of how you respond to disrespect. You have the power to protect your peace, to stand your ground, and to reclaim your sense of self-worth. In this video, we're going to dive into the ways you can handle disrespect smartly and effectively. You don't need to let others define your worth. You don't need to let their behavior dictate how you feel about yourself. We'll explore practical and actionable steps that you can take to not only protect your boundaries, but also to use disrespect as an opportunity for growth and empowerment. This is about taking control of your life, your emotions, and your future. By the end of this, you'll feel more confident and more empowered to handle any situation that comes your way with grace, strength, and dignity. Let's start by acknowledging the truth. Disrespect is everywhere. It might come in the form of someone cutting you off in conversation, belittling your ideas in meetings, dismissing your feelings, or just treating you like you don't matter. It might be from a colleague, a friend, or even a family member. Wherever it comes from, the result is the same. You feel smaller, weaker, and less than you are, and it's not just an emotional burden. When you let disrespect slide, you open the door to more of it. It erodes your confidence, damages your self-esteem, and slowly chips away at your ability to trust in your own value. It might even leave you questioning your worth or second-guessing your decisions. The consequences of letting disrespect go unchecked are far-reaching. You could find yourself withdrawing from relationships because you don't feel valued. You might stop speaking up for fear of being dismissed in the workplace. This can lead to a lack of recognition, missed opportunities, and even burnout. If you're constantly subjected to disrespect and don't address it, it becomes easier to tolerate, and before you know it, you've accepted it as normal. But here's the thing: you don't have to accept it. You have every right to demand respect and to stand up for yourself in a way that preserves your dignity and your peace. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably asking yourself how to do that without causing conflict, without feeling uncomfortable, or without being labeled as overly sensitive or confrontational. And that's exactly what we're going to explore together. Handling disrespect doesn't mean you have to fight every battle or become a doormat. It's about knowing how to stand your ground and assert your worth in a way that is healthy, respectful, and ultimately empowering. It's about choosing how you want to show up in the world and how you want others to treat you. Let me tell you, it starts with a mindset shift. You have to understand that disrespect is not about you. It's about the person who is giving it. When someone disrespects you, it's a reflection of their own issues, insecurities, or lack of awareness. It's not a reflection of your worth. And when you understand that, it becomes much easier to separate yourself from the disrespect and respond with confidence and clarity. You don't need to internalize what others say or do. You are not the problem. They are one of the most powerful ways to handle disrespect is by setting boundaries. Boundaries are essential in protecting your emotional and mental well-being. Without boundaries, people will walk all over you, take advantage of you, and treat you however they want. But when you set boundaries, you make it clear that you will not tolerate behavior that diminishes your sense of self. You teach others how to treat you, and you demand respect. And here's the thing about boundaries: they don't have to be harsh. You don't have to be rude or aggressive to set them. Boundaries can be simple, firm, and respectful. When someone disrespects you, your first step is to identify the boundary that has been crossed. What has made you uncomfortable? Is it the way someone spoke to you, the tone they used, the way they ignored your feelings or dismissed your ideas? Once you've identified the boundary, you can assert it. For example, if someone interrupts you during a conversation, calmly but firmly say, "I would appreciate it if you would let me finish speaking." If someone belittles you or makes a condescending remark, respond by saying, "I don't appreciate that kind of language. The key is to assert your boundaries without getting defensive or emotional. This is where the mindset shift comes into play. You're not being aggressive or confrontational. You're simply stating what is and isn't acceptable. You're not fighting with the other person. You're standing up for yourself and protecting your peace, and you're doing it in a calm and respectful manner. It's also important to remember that setting boundaries is not a one-time thing. If someone continues to disrespect you after you've set a clear boundary, you have to reinforce it. This may mean distancing yourself from that person, limiting your interactions, or even cutting ties if necessary. But whatever you do, make sure you stand firm in your boundaries and never allow anyone to cross them without consequences. Another key strategy for handling disrespect is learning how to respond rather than react. Reacting is automatic. It's when you get caught up in the emotion of the moment and say something you regret. Responding, on the other hand, is intentional. It's when you take a step back, breathe, and choose to respond in a way that is aligned with your values and goals. This takes practice, but it's one of the most powerful tools in your toolkit for handling disrespect. The next time someone disrespects you, take a deep breath. Don't let your emotions take over. Instead, pause for a moment and think about how you want to respond. You don't have to say anything immediately. Take your time when you do respond. Keep your tone calm and steady. Avoid yelling or getting defensive. You can say something like, "I don't think that's an appropriate way to speak to me," or "that kind of comment doesn't sit well with me." You're asserting your feelings without engaging in a confrontation. The goal is not to escalate the situation, but to express your discomfort and set the expectation for future interactions. But what if the person doesn't respect your boundaries or dismisses your feelings? What do you do then? This is where your self-worth comes in. You have to remind yourself that you are worthy of respect, no matter what anyone else says or does. And if someone continues to disrespect you, you don't have to tolerate it. You have the power to walk away, to limit your contact with them, or to distance yourself from a relationship entirely. Don't be afraid to prioritize your well-being. It's not selfish to demand respect. It's necessary for your mental health and emotional stability. Now, I know that these steps aren't always easy to implement. It's hard to stand up for yourself, especially if you're used to letting things slide. You might feel guilty or unsure of yourself. You might worry about how the other person will react. You might even question if you deserve to be treated with respect in the first place. These are common feelings, but I want to reassure you that you absolutely deserve respect. You are worthy of being treated with kindness, dignity, and consideration, and the more you stand up for yourself, the easier it becomes. It's also important to remember that handling disrespect is not about being perfect. You will slip up. There will be moments when you feel overwhelmed or unsure of how to respond. That's okay. The key is to keep trying. The more you practice setting boundaries, responding instead of reacting, and prioritizing your self-worth, the stronger you will become. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Reach out for support when you need it. Surround yourself with people who respect you and lift you up. You don't have to navigate this journey by yourself. You might wonder if it's really worth all the effort after all. Isn't it easier to just avoid conflict and let people walk all over you? But think about the long-term effects of tolerating disrespect. Every time you let someone disrespect you, you're reinforcing the idea that it's okay to treat you that way. Every time you stay silent when you should speak up, you're allowing your sense of self-worth to diminish. But every time you set a boundary, every time you respond with grace and confidence, you're reinforcing your value. You're sending the message to yourself and to others that you won't settle for anything less than the respect you deserve. Now, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned so far. How would your life look if you started asserting yourself in the face of disrespect? How would it feel to walk into a room knowing that you are worthy of respect? How much stronger and more confident would you be if you consistently stood up for your boundaries and your peace? The power to transform your life is within you. It starts with one decision to no longer tolerate disrespect. It starts with one step toward protecting your emotional well-being, and once you make that decision, there's no turning back. You will never again allow anyone to diminish your sense of self-worth. You will become the person who stands firm, who commands respect, and who walks through life with unshakable confidence and inner peace. The moment you decide to take control of your life and stop allowing toxic people to drain your energy, you'll start living a more peaceful, fulfilling, and empowered life, so go ahead and take that first step. Set your boundaries. Protect your peace. And never let toxic people control your happiness again. Remember, your self-worth is non-negotiable. You are worthy of kindness, respect, and love. Just as you are, it's time to stop tolerating behavior that doesn't align with that truth, and it's time to start living the life you truly deserve. Let's make it happen together.